land denizens, Parade is here, aka the new voice of freedom, aka Father of the Sea and Sun, aka King of the Core. Before I introduce my low co-host, I want to welcome you all to the Overdue review, where we are talking about Maul Shadow Lord. And I'm here with the host of the Celebration Cantina, Uncle Sheev on Twitch.tv, aka the Wizard of Oscars. He is unlimited. I have none other than Eli from the Fan Awakens. How are you today, sir?
I'm pumped up, man. That intro was on point. Thank you. I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Happy to talk about some Maul, some shadows, and some legends.
I am excited to talk also about Maul with you. We haven't really talked much since episode 1 and 2, and I want to welcome everyone here for joining us for this conversation. And I want to make sure you guys know about our other shows. The most popular right now, Celebration Preparation. Thank you for all who are tuned in, who have tickets to Celebration and who do not, but we want to share our experience with you on that journey. Also with Eli and the Fan Awakens on the Celebration Cantina. So thank you guys all for tuning in there. More episodes to come. I want to make sure we're talking about merch, what to expect, our hotels, our travel experience, all of that things all encompassed here on the reigncore channel. But we are talking today about Maul Shadow Lord. So Eli, search your feelings. What did you think about Maul Shadow Lord?
I gotta tell you, those first 2 episodes had me uncertain. I wasn't sure I was really into the show that much. I knew that the animation, again, every time they step out, these shows, they bump up that animation again, and that was enough. It was going to be enough to make me watch the full show attentively. I just think the lighting's incredible, the painted textures, all that stuff. It's amazing. I don't know how they keep improving it so much, but I wasn't into the story really. I didn't really care about the characters, and I know 2 episodes, they need time, you know. There's 10 episodes for a reason, but I just felt like we might be running into the Filoniisms and sort of the same story structure that he seems to follow a lot. That It works for me. It does work every time, but you know, it's sort of, it tunes you out at first when it's like, all right, we got to get back into it, you know. But as the series went on, I think every 2 episodes, I was so locked in. I think after episode 3 or 4, I was fully in, and I think that it ended on such a high note for me that I ended up loving it. I ended up loving the series where I didn't think I was going to. So, you know,
fair,
big win.
Yeah, I was in the same boat as you were. I know we talked about episode 1 and 2 when it came out, and I'm like, this is not grabbing me. As it went on, I think it took a little bit more time for me to actually start enjoying it. And I'm not saying it's not good or enjoyable. I think just specifically for me, it was kind of hard to lock me into it. By the end, I think I was like, oh, I liked where it ended up. But I think the journey for me took too long to get there. So those are my initial thoughts. We're going to spoil the hell out of this show. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's worth the watch if you're a big Star Wars fan and you like the animation. But I want to start this conversation off with my complaints about the show. And I need Eli
We're going to go head to head here.
Yeah, I need Eli to tell me why I'm wrong. I'll start with the first one. This show reminds me of how I felt about when Andor was announced. We're getting an Andor show. I was like, who cares about Cassian Andor? We know what happens to him at the end of Rogue One. Let Maul rest. Hashtag let Maul rest. We already know everything about this man, and we saw his end in another show that I won't spoil, but if you haven't been on the internet or live under a rock, we know where Maul's story ends. And I love that ending, and that ending for Maul really put me on to the show that was featured on, and I thought that was like the perfect ending for Maul. And so to come back to this, we're going to have to almost retcon or tell this bit of story. It seems so unnecessary to me. I actually still feel that way at the end of this series. Yes, I would love to see more. I mean, not love. I don't mind seeing more of this second season. Hopefully that's it. I don't think I want more than that. because
Sure.
there is a thread there that I want to see pulled and shown. But I'll tell you, like you see and hear soundtracks that I don't see.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
feel like with this, I see the lack of kind of a storytelling that is not satiating me. And I was thinking, I've been thinking about it for a few days because I'm like, I want to do this review, but it was even feeling hard for me to feel compelled to do the review because I actually not sure if I like, quote unquote, love this show. It's not bad. It's just not, I don't think it's for me. And I think the problem I have is the characters. So going back to Andor, we know what happens to Andor at the end of Rogue One. But they have introduced a plethora of great, strong characters that I have fallen in love with, that I love to death. I mean, I have like all of this Walls Andor besides the PlayStation one. Like this whole Walls Andor. I love the show. I think it's my favorite form of Star Wars. Shadow Lord didn't give me anybody I actually really care about. And I don't think by the end of it, I just did not care about anybody. And so for them, again, spoilers, for them to get picked off the way they did and die and lose characters, I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I'm glad that Disney Star Wars is taking swings on death and showing it. I just didn't care. And to watch 10 episodes of it, and I binged the last 8. I watched 1 and 2.
Sure.
Didn't have time to, I think I watched like 3 when it dropped. And then I'm like, this is still not grabbing me. To watch the next 7 was more enjoyable, I think, than week to week. But I just don't, nothing was really sticking with me. I'm like, Devin is probably the most compelling, which makes sense. She's essentially the co-lead of the show. Maybe the acolyte of this whole thing. I was like, is this the acolyte show where we're supposed to get? Don't care about Lawson. Don't care about Two Boots. I liked Master Ikadikidaki, but like Rook Cast, who cares? Scorch, who cares? Like, there's so many things. I was just like, okay, I don't care about anyone. Vario, who cares? Like, I was like, this guy's still alive.
Vario, funny little fella,
funny little guy, comic relief, sure, but it was just like getting old, and he's not really contributing after the Pike leader dies. So, tell me where I'm wrong, Eli. Am I wrong about feeling this way?
So
about the story,
I will say this. I originally felt like, okay, I probably am going to feel the same way. I don't think I had an immediate attachment to a lot of these characters, right? And you're just being introduced. I love that you mentioned Andor, because I do feel very similar that, you know, that first 3 episode arc of Andor, I know a lot of people felt like, what am I really here for? Like, I don't care about any of this. And then obviously as you go on the journey, it changes that, right? You grow attached to these characters. I did end up really vibing with Lawson, and I just think that this series changed over time for me. Like, I thought that we were going to be in for a Filoni typical thing. We're going to go, and I don't know if they released this info before or not, but, you know, typically you go planet to planet. It's very like episode of the week. That's typically what we got in Bad Batch, Clone Wars, Rebels. That's what he does.
Fair.
And this was a very linear, contained story, and it did feel to me more like almost like a True Detective in a way for a lot of it. It felt gritty. This was a show that I think for the first time myself, because I've always thought that Clone Wars, Rebels, that world works best in animation. And so when Ahsoka came out, and I did like Ahsoka, but I think that maybe if they made that same story in animation, I would have liked it more. I feel like they would have had more freedom to do different things, and I just feel like I would have connected to it more. With this, I was constantly thinking, like, man, I would love to see this in live action. And I thought that the pacing was very good. I thought they were patient, but it didn't drag for me after those first 2 episodes. With Lawson, he just kept growing on me episode to episode. And so as we went, you know, as we go through it, and also we can get to the end later, but I think there's still more to that. I think that they're being intentional with these characters, right? Who is it? Who's the little guy? Vario. That's the one character who I agree. I think I could have done without. And I think that if they would have offed him mid-season after the Pike thing, I would have been happy because he did take me out of it a lot.
He's not even like
It was
relevant
like,
in the last half of this
but
season.
my thing
Besides
is, I know
Voss,
that
but
I'm sure that he will have a role at some point because I just feel like they're being very. I don't think they'd keep him around for no reason, and I do think that maybe it was an unfortunate thing that they have a plan for him in the next
next
season,
season,
and
yeah,
so they're like, how do we keep him around?
yeah.
There's probably better ways to do it. That's my one negative character aspect. As far as like the characters, right, who they off, because they do kill a lot of characters in this show,
Which I
which
appreciate.
I'm always a fan of.
I'm
I
always a
always
fan of that.
appreciate
Yeah.
that. Yes. Um, it's not like I was broken up over Maul's posse, his crew dying,
Yeah.
but but
However,
I did feel for him. I did feel like there was the stakes were real, and even if yeah, we don't live with them for that long, when the brothers die, that made me like, oh man,
it's a
I do
parallel
feel
to
for them a bit.
him and Savage. It's a
And
parallel. So
Savage,
I didn't
yes.
mind that being in there.
And I do think that there is some weight to it at the end, and it's been a few since I've watched it, but I think someone, says they're sorry about his friends, all his friends dying. And it's weird to think that Maul has friends, but
Mm-hmm.
he did value them. And I think they show that through the season. So
Yeah.
they were all a tool to give Maul some,
Kind of
some,
couldn't ground him a little bit.
yeah, ground him a bit. And he's
Yeah.
not just purely, I mean, he is evil,
Yeah.
but,
Which I
yeah,
appreciate in the show.
I thought that the characters worked for me. I just thought it was a fun crime drama, one planet for the most
Yeah.
part. It was different than what I expected fully, and
Yeah.
so
I think going back to the true crime part, I think I would have liked to see a little bit more character from Lawson. I felt like it was stressing about his son, which I didn't mind. That's fine.
sure,
And then stressing about Maul, but I feel like it was like only like a very short synopsis of who Lawson is, and I wish we had a little bit more layering to it, unless I wasn't catching it. But I felt like
sure.
I wanted more out of him, and he could still be alive. Actually, we did not see.
No, I think he is. I think he 100%
is
is.
okay. Okay.
Because and I didn't think this at first, but I watched it myself the first time, and I was like, oh man, he died. And then I watched it with my brother, and like but then I watched it a third time.
Yeah.
I didn't really. He's the only one that sees Maul push Iko
Oh,
Diodaki.
yeah.
So and they make it intentional to show that.
Yeah,
And so I feel like that has to come into play.
Yeah.
But more than that,
and his son is still
Go ahead.
alive, so I can't remember
His
where
son's
his
still alive.
son ended.
he two boots. He made him promise him get him to his mother. And the
Alright.
thing that I really liked about Brander's character, or the way that they handled him, right, is that we didn't get a bunch of exposition thrown at us. Him telling
Sure.
a random story about, this is me and this is who I am and where I'm from, and he's a cop, he's a good detective, seemingly. Yeah, he struggles with the family life, but I do think that it's interesting that his wife became, an imperial. She works for the Empire,
Administrator.
and
I don't know.
yeah, whatever she does for the Empire.
Yeah.
I do think that he just showed. I love Wagner Moura. I love the voice acting for him. I connected to the character, but I think that they kind of grew his character subtly. I like that he doesn't want to work with the Empire. He doesn't want to bring him in because he knows it's gonna.
be
He knows
bad.
what that
Yeah.
is. It's
Yeah.
and he struggled with that, but he kept failing too. He kept failing, and I know Maul is like a character of failure in a way. And Brander, he's well intentioned for the most part.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe not perfect, but he also, the reason the Empire showed up is because he kept failing to get Maul, and I don't know. I think that the score also impressed me. So.
Yes, the score is really good. I'm not totally writing Brander off. I just wish there was a little bit more. And if he's still alive, I think we could still get that. But I think my stance on two boots Varios. There's something about like funny droids that I'm getting tired of this trope. But like two boots is just annoying. I get it. It's for the plot. Like, he's gonna tell, he's by protocol, but I think it just became too much. And then the random just like human police officers or whatever, and I'm like, I don't care about any of you. I did feel bad that the captain was killed, essentially, or presumably.
So they say. Yeah.
Yeah, all these.
It's gonna be interesting if
Is she still alive?
they
Just
pop
rolls
back
up there.
up. Yeah.
Um, I wish. I think I wanted to see if you're gonna show me these human characters.
Yeah.
I wanted to see a little bit more interaction with Lawson and who he is as not just a black and white detective. Or was he captain, lieutenant? I don't remember what his title was, but like it was very something you could just change the exposition because everyone just felt like they were just like buttoned up Boy Scout police officers and just were just NPCs essentially, or just background characters, but they were trying to give them dialogue and try to give exposition like, oh, Two Boots, he's actually dead. I'm like, I don't even know his name. Like, I wish we like had a little bit more. Like, I feel like those little bits would have changed my idea of him a little bit more because even him showing up on the wanted poster, I don't think there was any exposition where they're like, oh man, Lawson went. You know what I mean? Like something to give him.
I mean, there was a moment for that. Yeah, I think they had a moment talking about Lawson. Like, doesn't make any sense. Like, why would he? You know?
Sure.
And
But I wish like anybody could have said that. But I wish there was like he had almost friends or colleagues that looked up to him, and just kind of fleshed out the character a little bit more. I think it was just a little overlooked for me. That was just me.
I think they showed it. Like, they didn't have a lot of time to show it, but they did show it, you know? Like, he kept going against protocol, and he's telling him, like, yeah, we could call the Empire, but, like, it's not... He's trying at all costs. And at the end, it's like, I don't think they're as buttoned up because they're like, no, we're not sure. They're not following the rules. They're going pretty rogue in this in this place all the time. I mean, they're knocking out Two Boots to turning him off just so they can try and run down Maul again, which they have no chance at.
Yeah.
But I think...
Real quick.
Yeah.
What was the blonde dude's name and what was the black dude's name on the Force?
On the Force? Yeah, I mean,
like
that stuff like doesn't bother me though because I don't think they're not main characters.
It does to me though because
we have 10 episodes. It's called Maul. It's not called the what planet were they on?
See, Janix.
Janix. That's more. It's been too long since I watched it. I didn't. But it's not the Janix police show. You know what I mean?
No, sure.
I think they gave enough. Yeah.
But what I'm saying, like, I'll just go back to Andor. I know there was characters on the show who died and didn't mean anything, but we got their names. The guy who was at the booth, who like
what was his name?
Tim was the one who tattled. He dies in whatever episode 3 or whatever. What was his name? The guy in the booth who would do who was telling Andor. It was like Zan, I think. And then there was...
I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Well, they gave them names, and they had interaction with Andor, and then they moved the plot forward. Even in the slightest way. Even the young black dude who makes the guy drink and tells him that Andor's coming and then gives it to the Empire. There's little things like that, which I could appreciate to flesh out that world in Ferrix. I feel like this show didn't have that. Because even the exposition between Rook and Maul... You told me about it. It was very oh, you're trying to get that Padawan girl again.
Yeah, that stuff was
that stuff. Best. I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for. But at least it fleshes out her character. At least they're having dialogue, and he's attempting to listen to her.
Well, see, that's the funny thing is that makes. I like that character less because of that. Stuff.
Sure.
I don't need to be told
right.
that. I'd rather it just be. Yeah.
Correct.
I'd rather just let me infer that on my own instead of being told that doesn't really add anything for me.
Yeah.
But I do think that I think some of the strongest stuff in the show is, Devin and Master Iko Diodaki and Maul's sort of tug of war between light and dark and what does it mean and kind of where that goes. And one strength I think was that I think myself and probably many people went into this scene, Master Iko Diodaki, whatever it is. Oh my gosh. And thinking he's dead, which is true. But I thought they were going to kill him early. Yeah, halfway through the season at best. If I was to put money on it, I'm like, this guy, he's going to die. And then, but they took him the whole series, which I think the whole season. Yeah. Which I think was an excellent choice, and it surprised me.
He is probably my favorite character that they introduced here, and to have his death, that actually was meaningful, because to me it was a very duel of the fates. The two characters against Maul, the push and pull for Devon's allegiance, right? Like I loved his overly exposition because he was more force sensitive and his wisdom was showing through. He's like, are those your words
Yeah.
or are those Maul's words? Like he could see that and sense that because of their connection. But then what was also tragic was their connection so strong that almost pushes her to the dark side because those overly emotion things. So I appreciated that. He was probably my favorite out of the cast of characters that they introduced, and to
Yeah.
have that be meaningful. But like Riley, I can appreciate a father and a son dynamic, but again, it just
Sure.
wasn't enough for me to care that much. There was something with Riley's character that I wanted a little bit more of too. Um, I don't know exactly what it was, but there was enough there to where I'm like, okay, he's just he's a young athlete. His parents are separated. He's feeling the effects of it. I actually did like he was using stun in his blaster versus kill.
Yeah.
I can actually appreciate that because that shows that he one values life. His mom works for the emperor or empire, so he was like, these guys are probably just doing their job. Like his dad just does his job. It's not a matter of like taking the morality of like I'm willing to just take a life, especially as a child, if he's 16, 17 or whatever. So I actually appreciated he was using stun. In the long term, like, with what we know as the audience, like, yeah, kill all the stormtroopers,
Yeah.
which they did not shy away from, which I also appreciate because
No, they did not.
in Clone Wars, you're just killing droids, who cares? But we actually see Devon like murder stormtroopers
Oh yeah.
and Maul murdering aliens and stormtroopers. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally in for that. Like, despite me feeling about the story, the action, the choreography, the lighting of the
Yeah.
lightsabers, top tier, probably some of the greatest
Fantastic stuff, man.
lightsaber fight scenes. So shout out to the choreographers of Maul Shadow Lord. I think it's up there. To me, I think it surpasses what I thought was my favorite, which was the fight scenes in Acolyte. I think it surpasses that as probably my top. I can't really Acolyte fight scenes are very good though, but I think just this story is a lot more polished than Acolyte. But Acolyte has
Yeah.
that for sure, but this show is a little bit more polished than that.
I agree. I agree with that. I do think that yeah, we also get to see some Inquisitors, right? We get to see
Yes,
Maroc again
Maroc or
and
Merc and the 11th
yeah,
brother. I
the
think they call
11th.
him the Crow. So going back to another
Yeah.
complaint of mine, again, two characters we know their ends, and it was cool seeing them on the screen, and I do like that we get more of them. And Maroc's backstory is a little shady.
Sure.
I like their presence in the show was good, and I don't think it was wasted. And this is one that I would say I didn't mind seeing them. But I think there's other Inquisitors that we haven't seen that they might have been able to put in here. But I think Dave just likes certain characters.
Well, for me, the thing is with bringing back characters who we know their fate, right?
Mhm.
I don't mind it as long as you add to their character, add to their story, and I think they neither of them really had a much of a great base that they created from their original
Yeah.
when we first saw them.
So it's like we
So
don't really know much about them
I
anyway.
do think it added to that for me. I was glad they were in there. I was glad they showed them the way they did, hunting down the Jedi and
Yeah.
sort of working together, and the fights were awesome. So it does for me it adds to their original appearances because
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, I know these people, I know what they're capable of. And so when things happen, I'm like, okay, that does mean more to
Yeah.
me than like in Ahsoka and different things when
Yeah.
they,
Yeah.
when they die, I'm like, okay, damn, she just, she handled that
Yeah, Ahsoka
very,
handles it
very easily.
a lot
Yeah.
differently.
Which adds to it because originally when you see those scenes in the other shows, like, all right, whatever, fodder, throwaway character. And this does add to that. So
Yeah.
I was pretty pleased with how they were and just seeing them fight Maul and how, how they could handle Maul and a Jedi,
And Jedi,
even
yeah.
if she's younger. Yeah, I thought it was a nice addition.
Mhm.
And instead of they could have thrown anyone in there, right? They could have thrown any number of the Inquisitors.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that they built on two Inquisitors that were established but really didn't have anything
Right.
to stand on.
Yeah, we didn't get much of them in other things that we've seen them, like because it's that one little short thing in
Yeah.
Tales, and then Ahsoka. So like this is not as egregious as like some of like Maul, where he's been in almost
Sure.
every iteration of Star Wars. So I didn't mind it as much, and I really like the designs of these two specifically,
Yeah,
even
I
over the
agree.
Rebels ones. Like there's something more menacing about them, like the crow mask, the red eyes, um, even them doing, I think it's called Force. Man, I can't remember what it's called, but basically being able to the Vin Diesel Fast and Furious, where you touch a thing
Yeah,
and you could kind of like feel through the force what happened. Ahsoka does it. I think
sure.
it's like synchrony or something, force synchrony or something like that. You correct me in the comments. But Marok showing off more of his force
Oh yeah,
abilities, because I don't know if necessarily that's the same Marok from Ahsoka, because there's a weird
I'm
dark
sure it
magic
is. I'm
thing.
sure it is.
Um,
Yeah,
but I do like that we get to see their power level of like going into combat with Maul, and then like you said, fighting Ahsoka. It's like, oh, it's different. It's different because Ahsoka has
yeah,
shown that she can take on Inquisitors fairly easier than most, which is pretty awesome about
yeah.
her character.
I agree. I think it's a cool thing for a character too.
Oh, but rest in peace, my favorite character, Spybot.
Bye bot. Oh man,
Spybot,
talk about
man.
they took out a real one.
He might be hitting top 5 droids for me, to be honest.
When they took him out, I was like, oh man, people are dying. You take out Spybot. Oh yeah,
Because in that scene where they're going across the lava, I was like, oh, we're gonna lose some people, and there's gonna be a lot of tension to
yeah.
get people across. When I saw Two Boots as like the second pairing, I'm like, dang it, Two Boots is surviving this thing.
They got the wrong droid.
They
Huh?
got the wrong droid, man. I was hoping for here's a good pull, a Dante's Peak pushing the thing through the lava, the grandmother when she's like
Yeah,
burning her legs. I
yeah.
wanted
That's a
that for
good.
Two Boots. His legs, he's Two Boots. I wanted
That
his
would have been
head.
perfect.
That would have been perfect.
I know it must, and this thing, like, it must have been because when they mapped out the story, they're like, okay, we need someone to try and get him back home, I guess. And who Maul's not gonna do it. I don't think Devin's gonna do it, really.
Varia one day. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
like,
That makes sense.
but unfortunate, because I do think that could have. I think you're right. It would have been a perfect place to give Two Boots some nice meaning. Could have tied in the name. Could have done a lot there.
Also, is
But
like told the Empire, like really royally screwed up this planet for the worst to bring the Empire there, so he needs to die. Like we need him to pay for his sins.
oh yeah, what did he? I'm sorry for what? Or whatever happened, and Empire shows
He
up.
goes, oh yeah, what did he say? Like, I forgive you for deactivating me.
Yeah,
Son of a freaking Two Boots, man. I don't know.
yeah, two
He's
boots.
definitely top 5 worst droids, or I mean, like not like in the character, but how I feel
I
about
get you.
his his character. Like, oh, Two Boots.
My thing is, I feel like it was I don't know what it is. Obviously, Clone Wars and Rebels and even Bad Batch, they have a lot of like humor and like levity moments, but it feels like, oh, they still had to throw it in there. I don't know why with Vario and with Two Boots, because I did love this show, but I do think that if you just took out the humor from those characters, you have a much more consistent tone, and that's really a my only small complaint about the show, to be honest.
The we talked about it before, and you mentioned it. Animation is beautiful, probably the best it's ever
Oh yeah,
been. I
for
love.
sure.
There's a scene where Mark is it what is it? Is his name Marok? What was it? I think it's Marok.
I don't know how to pronounce it,
I
but
think it's
yeah,
Marok.
that's how I say it. I say Marok,
Uh,
Marok. It's one of those.
yeah, because if you didn't know, the creators were saying that they did the backgrounds on canvas and on glass, and then imposed that into the show. So it's actually physical art that they're using for the backgrounds, not necessarily digital. And they said they took a lot from Batman and Batman the Animated Series, or the movies, where they had those matte paintings in the back. And there's a scene where Marok is on the like hanging off or not hanging off. He's crouched on a goblin. On one of the skyscrapers, and it has like the really cool blue and yellow background, and I was like, that's very Batman. It looks sick. I would love to have that as like a background image on my computer. But it's just beautiful. Even just like Maul's the paint streaks in Maul's face and his clothes.
Yes,
It's very it
they
feels
took
very
it to another
different.
level.
Mm-hmm. That being said, where do you rank Maul Shadow Lord in the pantheon of 3D animated shows? So we'll say, is it better than Clone Wars? Is it better than Rebels for you? We'll go Tales of the Empire and Tales of the Jedi, the Tale series, Bad Batch, and am I missing any others? I won't count Young Jedi Adventures, but it's definitely
Sure.
better than that. Um, where
It's
would you
tough
put the show?
because it's one season. The way that I'm thinking of it now that you ask is, where do I rank this season amongst the best seasons of those shows?
Oh, separating them.
And yeah, not necessarily, but I'm judging those shows by their best,
Mm-hmm.
instead of like it's a full body of work. I would say I genuinely think this was pretty close to. It's so tough to rank them, but it's as close to anything for me to the top. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying it's my favorite thing of all time that
Yeah.
Filoni's done,
Yeah.
but I think the quality was just so high
The quality's high.
across the board, and I did love the characters, and I grew to love most of them, or at least enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that the tone was exactly what I was looking for, and I didn't even know that I was going to get that.
Mm-hmm.
And even for all for, I didn't feel like this show was necessary when you hear it. And I love Sam Witwer, and I know he's very involved in
Yes.
that
Yeah.
with Filoni. I don't, even when I feel like, oh man, I don't need to live in this world with these characters anymore. Let's do something new.
Mm-hmm.
I say that because I love what they do, and I want to see it done with other characters. Um, he didn't miss. He still has not missed with these animated shows for me. Um, so I don't know where I'd rank it, but I do think it is in the top tier of what he's done on the
Yeah.
animated side for me.
I
What
mean,
about you?
I'm a big Rebels fan, so
Yeah.
giving me a whole cast and crew of characters that I really care about and seeing more of them, it's always great. So it's not to me gonna top Rebels. If I'm gonna say the best season of Bad Batch, which I think was season 3, and like some of the best
Yep.
stuff in Clone Wars, which I think is more Maul stuff, season 7. I think I like this show more than Bad Batch. I can see myself coming back to this show. I'm probably not going to rewatch it until like season 2
Sure.
comes out, but I do like this character over the Bad Batch shows, which I know people love Bad Batch. It's just not my thing. So it's between that and Clone Wars. I mean, you're looking at like full seasons of Clone Wars with great
I know.
moments and stuff. So it's kind of hard to say, but I think I think I still go Clone Wars over this. We'll see how I feel once season 2 comes out, and if that's like like Shadow Lord is just season 1 and season 2 as a thing.
Yep.
But like, there's so much in Clone Wars that we pull from that is so great. And I'm surprised that I moved on from the last two, the last two episodes of Shadow Lord. I'll start, and the first half of Shadow Lord I think is like kind of boring. We get some things that are fine, but the ending of this it feels like a cheat code where you're like, hey, we're gonna write in the most iconic villain of the show. We're gonna put him in here, and I don't know if we talked about it, but this is what I've always wanted from a Star Wars thing. Just a straight up horror Star Wars thing where people are getting killed, no one knows what's going on. You could have done it with Grievous, you could have do it with Vader, you could do it with an Inquisitor if you'd like. But having Vader's presence there, they kind of cheat because they do it in like every animated show. But this one felt very Vader, and it was like terrifying to see him, because like you're probably not gonna survive. And for the first Mandalorian to get pulled in, or they will run into the fog, you don't hear anything, but then to Rook to get dragged in and killed essentially, and then have the silhouette and then the breathing, you're like, oh, you guys have really stepped into it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was spoiled for me because I watched it late, and so I saw a thumbnail of Vader, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. But it did not. The reveal was
Ruin
spoiled,
the experience
but the experience of watching what Vader does in that fight is insane.
Yes. Yes.
What were your
I
thoughts on
loved it too.
Yeah.
I think that the show did this is one of my favorite things, right? That finale, I can watch it infinitely. But I do think that this show built to that moment. For me, it wasn't like I know they tend to do that, but I think when you write stories in this time period and you have characters doing all these different things, it makes sense for Vader to show up at some point.
Yeah.
Like I just,
Yeah.
it does. You know what I mean? Like if they're all written in the same time period and like they're tearing up bases and all this stuff. But what I like about this story is that it leads to this climactic moment with Vader. Is it starts off with just this planet and a police station trying to figure out what's going on. Who is this person that's causing all this trouble in our
Hmm.
planet? And then it's like, okay, we don't want the Empire to show up. And you're like, okay, yeah, Empire, they're gonna take control. They come in. Then they have Inquisitors, and it's like, oh my gosh, these Inquisitors are hunting down Maul and the
Hmm.
Jedi, and the cops are dying, and then it just keeps building and building and building. And I do think that you have two Inquisitors, right? And they are not getting the job done, but they are hunting them down, and they're
Hmm.
they're doing their job still in a way. And they did flush them to the ultimate, tell them they're headed your way.
Yeah.
And he's like Michael Myers.
Yes.
And it's funny that
Yeah. Yeah.
Halloween came out, I think, in 1978, and Star Wars in 77. And I think there's always been like this one, like sometimes Vader is portrayed as a Michael Myers type threat, in the
Yeah.
way he looms, and I think never more than this, right?
Yeah. This is the
And you're
most.
right, it does come through as a horror villain.
Hmm.
And even though I think a lot of times you would be tempted to do this at night, right? Have this whole thing at night.
Yeah.
Even though it's during the day, it does not matter. I love that he just keeps coming for them no matter what. When they first escape Vader, right? They have that first battle. I love that Maul doesn't know who he is or
Yeah.
what he is. He's curious. He's like got an idea maybe, but
Yeah. He could
I
be
love
another
that he's
Inquisitor, like,
yes.
but yeah.
And he's like, "What are you? Like what is this thing? Like this
Yeah.
is this is not normal." This is,
Yeah.
and I love that he was afraid, he was in fear. And I think you have that. And again, to Iko Diodaki, he has this, ever strong belief that if we stick together and do this the right way, it'll be okay. The Force will, you know,
Yeah.
um, lead us to victory over this, whatever it is. But, they get away, they run away. Maul does his favorite move of bringing down the ceiling
Yeah.
that he does like 4 times in the show. Um, and then there's just walking, and next thing you know, I mean, what perfect timing. Vader just punches through there. Oh my gosh. I loved that finale. I love the fight. It lasted so
It
long. The
does.
choreography never, yeah, it just goes and it
Yeah.
goes and it goes. And I love the portrayal of Vader. And there's also character building, yeah, with the
Yes.
Inquisitors and Devin. And I
Yeah.
love the tug of war back. So it was great storytelling through choreography
Yeah,
and
and
through fighting.
even prior to that, I mean, we get a little bit of Maul's backstory, right, where the Sidious seduces him to the dark side, and it's like the
Yes.
training and like lightning bolting them, um, and then I actually love it. It's a little. It makes sense for the character, so it doesn't feel. I was gonna say cheesy, but I don't think it is. Obi-Wan green lightsaber cutting him down,
Yes.
and then kind of going through where all the experiences that Maul had. Like his family was essentially killed. Everything he cares about was essentially killed. He was betrayed by, a Sith, his Sith master, and then now he runs into his replacement essentially, and it's like because
Yes.
that's the guy that did
The upgrade.
the upgrade, and oh, I can see why they upgraded him because he's a beast. And what's great is like
Yes.
Vader doesn't say a word. He's
Yes.
like, I don't care, I'm just gonna take you out. And it's like crazy just watching the animation of him just being able to take on three, a
Love
master, a
it.
Jedi master, a Sith, an old Sith. I don't know if Maul would be still considered a Sith Lord at this point, and a Padawan who can hold her own against Inquisitors.
I think is she a Jedi? Like, is she just a Jedi, or is she, I don't know.
I don't know.
You
I'm
know,
not
they
sure,
I
but
don't
she
know.
has
But
she
she
can.
seems more than capable of
Yeah,
Jedi. Yeah.
yeah, she could maybe she hasn't been given the title of knight or whatever, but she's up there.
Sure, sure.
Skill wise, she's up
Yeah.
there. And again, going back to like that push and pull, very reminiscent of Duel of the Fates and the battle for Anakin's fate. And then you're right with Anakin, like you're right there with this
Yes.
kid, like the destiny has had led you to this point. So it was very cool to see, and even Vader just like pulling down walls and buildings and pushing the bricks and stuff, very reminiscent
Yes.
of his fight with Luke in Empire, but then also a little bit of Kenobi. But that's fine. We'll forget about that. Like, trying to bury him. Um, yeah, Vader was very cool there. I really like seeing him, quote unquote, on screen again. Um, and I don't know. Do you like this better than? Because I'm thinking of like the best Vader scenes. Do you like this better than the Rogue One
Sure.
hallway scene?
That's tough to say. I mean, the Rogue One hallway scene was such a complete surprise, and it was like
Mm,
you hadn't seen Vader in a long time, and it just kind of
on
came out of
screen is a lot
nowhere.
of different too.
And I do think that like the way that that leads into episode 4 is really nice.
Yeah.
Um, but
For me,
yeah, I
it's
don't
pretty
know. I
close.
think they're on the same. I think they're on the same level.
It's pretty
I think
close.
that
Yeah.
because you see Vader in a way that we don't often get to see him. Because for me, I don't have complaints when I go back to watch, the original trilogy. I love those lightsaber fights,
Yeah.
and I think there's a lot of storytelling in them.
Yeah.
I know it's like, oh, there's a lot of complaints because when you look at the evolution of lightsaber fights and choreography, it's vastly changed. But for me, when I watch those movies, even, and I watch Maul Shadow Lord, I'm like, no, this is who he is. This is who he was. We just have a different way of being able to show it now, right?
Yeah.
And so it is cool getting to see him, right, still stoic as ever, still, upright, and he's not dancing around, but it doesn't matter. You can have three people, he's going to be able to fight you all. I also loved that one, yeah, it was really nice seeing, Palpatine's former apprentice versus
Mm-hmm.
his current, heir apparent, and seeing them, Maul kind of knows he knows exactly who he is, not who he is as a person, but he knows who he is, what he knows, what he's
The
been trained,
trained.
how
Yeah.
he's,
Yeah. Yeah. How he's
yeah,
been trained.
and
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
like, and seeing Maul and Master Daki fighting alongside each other was great, against Vader, because they didn't stand a chance. Even if they worked together, that was not going to happen.
Yeah.
But just the clashing ideals that they had, and not only that, but Maul like uh, pleading with Daki, like, you have to fight differently. It is not going to work.
Or even Devin
And
too. Yeah. Yeah.
Devin too, and it wasn't like at that point. It's not Maul just trying to make a play. Like, he's trying to. He's like, we're gonna die
Yeah. Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
guys don't fight this guy like me.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, what's also cool is like going back to your point about the fighting style. It almost bridges the prequel fighting style with the original
I agree
trilogy
with that.
fighting style, because we are seeing how the Inquisitors fight and Maul doing his Terakasi and the flips and his style, and it ain't
Yeah.
holding up to whatever Vader's got in his bag.
No.
And so you're like, oh, well, put that to rest, because even them showing the going back to, they are actually very good at showing power level. It takes
Yeah, I
Maul
agree.
and I think who's the first one. They do a force push against Maul. Or against Vader. He
Yeah.
barely moves.
I think all three of them push them.
Then Vader, sorry. Then Vader pushes all five of them and then some.
Yes.
Right? And then they try to do it again on the bridge where it's Maul and Daki, and they push him probably about 10 feet and barely
Yeah.
anything. So I'm like, yeah, like Vader's on just on
He's
top
on
here.
a different
He's on a
level.
different level. I think there was just a few cuts in the choreography that I was like, dang it, why did we go away from that? I think it's like when Devin's
Sure.
fighting the crow, and then she's like actually tapping into her emotions, and it's her and Maul against the crow, the 11th brother. I really liked that, and seeing them be more aligned in how their fighting style would overtake the rest of
Yeah.
these Inquisitors. I thought Vader, they would have like got away from Vader by taking out like his ground from underneath him, because they were so good about taking the ceiling off. And I was like, wouldn't you just?
I think the
that
it
was
was.
just
I
a
think
weird thing.
they were
about it.
trying to escape across the bridge, and they were
Mhm.
on the other side. Like, if you bring that down, you're going
Yeah,
down.
you're probably going
Or
down too.
something.
Yeah.
And also, man, Vader would have jumped. I don't know. It's like, this guy's so strong in the Force. Like, oh
Dude,
my gosh.
He hits Maul in the leg. Daki gets a hit on him too.
Yes, he
which
does.
was also, but then
Which I
he's
liked. I like that
I
they
like
gave
that.
him a.
Yeah.
I like that they gave Daki a little. It's like when Finn is almost the same as when Finn hit Kylo.
Oh, sure.
It's like these guys are overmatched,
Yeah.
but you get your little lick in, and
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
all right, nope, it's over. Like,
Or even Luke getting his lick in in the fight
Yes.
on Empire. But yeah, just the overpowering just beat stick that Vader puts
love
on
that.
you. It's so
Just
cool.
like, it's like when Luke was fighting Vader in Return of the Jedi,
Yes.
and he's wearing him
Just
down.
like, oh
Same sort,
god.
and it was a nice parallel for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do love the way that whole thing played out. You know, with Maul. Maul realized we're not beating this guy,
Yeah.
and he has bigger fish to fry. Not really. I mean, that's part of the fish he wants to fry, but he knows that
Yeah.
he's like, we're not winning this.
Not by
I need
himself.
to get
Not
my
by himself.
Padawan.
Yeah.
I need to get my Padawan up. I'm pushing this guy. Boom, pushes him. I'm out of here.
Yeah, oh, such a
And
dirty move. Oh, I hated it so much. But I'm like, oh, Maul.
I love that because
I
you
know.
start to be like, okay, Maul throughout the series has been presenting ideas that are like, okay, yeah, I get it. You're scorned, you want revenge, and your ideals are clashing with the Jedi's, but it's not like perfectly refutable at every stop.
Yeah.
But they got, you might start to soften up on Maul a little bit as
Yeah.
you go. We're working together, and then he does that,
Yeah.
It's like, no, this guy is a,
Yeah. It's shout out also to the other fight scenes. The lava fight scene was great, where it's like very
Yes, it was.
intense and like slowly people have to go across, and Maul taking on Inquisitors, taking apart the dual
Yes.
lightsaber to do, or the double sided.
We had the little Star Killer reference, still shot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even the fights, even before that, throughout, they're all really good.
They're all so good.
Versus
On the train.
Yeah, they're all very well choreographed. Some of the best fight scenes we've had, and I like that we've always been progressing with the fight scenes versus regressing.
Yep.
So I do appreciate that. I want to ask what you're looking forward to and any theories that you've heard. So if you don't want to hear theories, we're going to talk about it here now. So thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe. But if you're still here, I have a couple of theories that I've heard that I think are interesting. I don't think they're true, but
Sure.
New Rockstars said that Marok and the Crow could possibly be Maul's brothers, where Crow could be reanimated from Savage, and I think I'm trying to remember Maul's other brother. There's another brother he had that also could have been reanimated. Thus, the green smoke from the dark magics of the Night Sisters. I was like, that's kind of an interesting theory, where Sidious would do something crazy like that to mess with anybody, and they're good fighters too, so it's not like they're a waste, right? Going to his like reincarnation reanimated thing. Also Lawson not being dead, but I think
I think he's alive.
I think he's alive because you can't
Yeah.
the sun being out there with not like anything.
They don't show him die. That's a big thing in Star Wars.
They didn't show Rook die though either.
Yeah.
But yeah. Shout out to Vanessa Marshall who Rook's voice. Also even Scorn and Icarus, so the two other Zabraks, Dave Fenoy and Steve Bloom, Zeb and Eli, I think. So yeah, great voice actors. Met them, Hall of Famers up there. Met all three. They're great people. Any other? Did you catch any other theories?
Yeah. Well, theories. I don't necessarily know that I caught many of those. I do have a question for you though, because I think so much of Maul's destiny is just to fail. He fails, constantly, but he never stops. He never. But my thing is with Devin, and this is just I'm wondering, getting your temperature on this, because they could. I don't think she's not turned to the dark side. She's looking for vengeance, and she's trying to use Maul as a tool, I think, to get that vengeance. And yeah, he's gonna try and sink his teeth into her and bring her to the dark side for his his gain.
Yeah.
But my thing is, do you think that she will become his full-on apprentice? Because I do think there's gonna still be in the next season, most likely, a lot of back and forth and a lot of her not fully giving into that.
Yeah.
Sure. And maybe in the end, it does end up with her either. Who knows? Her dying or staying on the light side or whatever the case. You know what I mean? Or they could. I know Filoni's in charge now. He loves keeping his characters, and I don't fault him for that.
Yeah.
They could have her become a Dark Lord of the Sith, and she's off somewhere, and then now she's older and adult in these new movies. Here she is. Here's your bad guy. That's
My Disney hat is on. We're making a new villain for whatever is the future of Star Wars. Dave Filoni has these young women, teenagers grow into formidable foes. So I don't necessarily know if she's gonna be Darth Talon. What's interesting is I remember those Legacy comics. I actually collected them. I love what I collected at the beginning. It's hard to collect comic books when I was younger, didn't have any money. But like Darth Krayt, Dark Talon introduced in those series, just a very strong look of that. The red, Twi'lek skin with the same tattoos that Maul has. So it makes sense that if this is where Devon's story's going, for her to be a popular, iconic character of those, like the not Elseworlds, what is it called? Legacy. To bring her in makes sense. And then to have that touch of Darth Maul continue, because they love Darth Maul in Star Wars, to have that his legacy continue with someone new just makes sense business-wise. I don't know. She has pink skin, but it could be where she just like paints her skin. Who cares? Like, that would be fine. Or she just has pink skin with the Darth Maul tattoos, or she just takes the name Darth Talon, or she has a different name and it's not Darth Talon at all, but it's like almost like inspired by the character. Because I could see her dual wielding red, staffing it up red, and then just being a complete menace to whoever our new heroes are going to be. I think it's more likely that she survives, which brings me to my theory would be her and Maul, she does become his apprentice. There is a falling off somewhere. I think what might happen is she looks at him and goes, your revenge on the Emperor is not my revenge. I want to kill Vader. And they're parting ways because of that, because he is by himself in Rebels. So there is something where they're not together. So I think we're going to get that gap filled, which, even though I said I don't like these little stories, and we're on this path already, I wouldn't mind seeing what happens between the two and why Maul ends up there trying to get Ezra, versus continuing with Devon. So there's something to be said about that.
With Star Wars, I think there's always a chance to make things work. You think of like now that we have the Clone Wars and everything, Ahsoka wasn't anywhere during episode 3, and like, oh, that's because she was on Mandalore doing this and that. And I just accept it. It's like, all right, fine. I accept it. That's great. I'm cool with it. So who knows? It's like, wow, Maul, maybe they were supposed to recon while Maul was confronting Obi-Wan. He's like, I have one more person I need to
because there's also a pretty wide gap between
the
trilogy and the sequels, and then even a wide gap, or not that much of a gap, but in this Mandalorian Grogu era we're in here, there's still the gap between the sequels. So I'm sure Thrawn's going to be a part of it in some form or fashion. I don't think Devon's going to be a part of that, but I could see her somewhere down the line if we continue with Mando and Grogu. Grogu and Devon fighting it out, green versus pink, something like that. I don't know, but
I mean, knowing Filoni and everything, I'm sure he has his ideal plan already mapped out, and now that he's in the captain's seat, he can make that happen. I'm just so curious, and I know these plans can change depending on what's the success and what's not, right? So let's just say the Mandoverse, let's say Mando and Grogu kills and makes a ton of money, then who knows? Maybe Devon shows up in that, in whatever form not in that, but I mean in that, like, that whatever that timeline goes, wherever those after shows and movies go. I don't mean like this movie. I just mean, story lane. And if not, maybe that's the big, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised. There's another big Star Wars movie that's in the Jedi Sith continuity of things.
True.
And it's like she shows up there.
That makes more sense if we get introduced to new. It would be so good. Rey, her apprentice, and then now we have. I agree. Devon as the villain versus whoever Rey trains. To me, that makes the most sense, because I don't think it's a Starfighter thing. I think that's gonna not really involve much Jedi stuff, and I don't think you would introduce Talon there. It's possible, but I don't think you introduce it there. I think we need a new Jedi story outside of, if it's still in the lineage of Rey. But I mean, it should delineate with our Force users and our non-Force users, like we have with, I don't know, Mando and Grogu. Grogu's technically Force user, but I'm just saying it does feel different, and I think we should keep it separate. We'll see where Devon's story ends up. Devon is actually I actually enjoy her character. It's not annoying. And watching the push and pull between light and dark works for me. So I don't mind seeing more of her. Do you think she'll ever... Devon will be a live action character? I guess your answer would be yes, from what we were just saying about movies.
If I had to bet on it, I'm saying yes. I think yes. At some point, in something, in some way, Yeah.
Do you think we'll ever see Devin and Ahsoka cross paths?
So tough. I think it all hinges on the success of, like, if Mando and Grogu. I'm so intrigued by Mando and Grogu's box office,
Okay.
because I do think that that informs like direction in a way.
Yeah.
Because
Have
if it's just fine, then whatever.
yeah.
But if it, let's just say it makes 1.5 billion dollars, which I don't expect it to, but let's just say it does, then it's like, all right, I think we'll put actual movie budget into these things and go away from Disney Plus, and we're gonna make a bunch of Mando movies, and
Mm,
that whole line of things. Ahsoka will probably have a movie, and I think that you know, I don't know.
I
If
don't
we
know.
do, then maybe. I just I just think that a lot of it hinges on that. I do hope that, I don't know. I just miss my Sith and Jedi
On
on the
screen.
big screen,
Yeah.
and I do want whatever form that comes in to happen. And if that's Devin turning into a Darth Talon or a version of Darth Talon, I'm all for it. I don't care. I just want it back. So I think that it's an opportunity for some interesting storytelling, and
Yeah.
for it to
Yeah.
matter again, that
Yes.
you watch these things, because for the most part, I know when Disney took over, they promised books, comics, shows, all it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna matter. It doesn't. But that would be really nice and gratifying for investing that
Yeah.
time and
Agreed.
enjoying these stories. If they're like, okay, and they don't even have to make it so, like, I don't even think they have to explain everything. You could just be like, this is a cool Sith. Maul was her master, and that's all you need to know to go into it.
Yeah.
But if you were there for Shadow Lord, then it's like, all right, I know this
It
character, and
mattered. Yeah.
that means more.
I think people will see like there's a Vader thing and they'll probably watch the last episode and then go, oh,
Yeah,
it'll catch people like, oh, where did the show start? And then watch it through. Like I'm sure, I usually get the
Vader
pulse from
carries so
like,
much weight.
yeah, I usually get the pulse from my family who they like Star Wars, but they're not tapped
Sure.
into everything Star Wars like we are some of the people watching. So I'm gonna be curious if they actually watch the show or actually see the last episode. One more thing on my wish list. I actually really want to see Kira, animated Kira,
Yeah,
because
yeah, I agree.
we're going to Voss. We're gonna see
I think
Crimson
we have to.
Dawn. I feel like we should, and I hope Amelia Clark comes back for the role. I
Same.
wasn't that impressed with the voice actor who played Voss because Paul Bettany's voice is very distinct,
Yeah.
and I was like, he couldn't come back to do these lines. So I was a little disappointed that they couldn't pull him for it. But I am. That's the least of my excitement. But I because we're here. How excited would you be to see how Maul takes over Crimson Dawn? Or did we see
Yeah, I
that in
do
Clone
think
Wars?
that,
I don't even remember at this point.
I don't know. I don't think we did, because this comes after it, and we know that
Okay.
he's in charge of Crimson Dawn when Solo happens, right?
Oh,
And so
so
I think that,
yeah.
yeah, I think we have another opportunity here that does excite me, because, well, I don't mind Solo. Like, I think it was a fun time in the theater, and I enjoyed watching it. It's not something I really go back to.
Same.
Um, and again, just like Clone Wars did for the prequels, no matter what people say, it enhanced those
It does.
dramatically
Yeah.
for a lot of people. And even if you like them, I think Clone Wars enhances that. People who didn't like them now like them.
Yeah.
I think you can improve Solo and all of that, just because you give these characters more depth and more story. And so if you go back to Solo, you're like, okay, I do know or care about these characters and know how they got here in some way.
Yeah.
I'm not saying let's make Solo the animated series, but yeah, if you have
Oh, my
Dryden,
God.
like, have you know Dryden more, and it's like, I'm with it, and I hope they do involve Kira, because she seemed to be a big part.
Yeah, very integral
And
part.
I want to know that story. I'm intrigued.
It just pisses me off because I did want Kira in Book of Boba Fett as the gangster
Yeah.
show we were promised, and I feel like this was the gangster show that we were promised. It's like
Yeah,
this was the gangster show we were promised. This was the acolyte show we were promised. Like I feel like Dave's like, fine, I'll just like I'll give him that we're getting what we were promised
Yes.
in animated. I'm sad
And
that
you
those
know
things
what?
didn't come to fruition, but
This gives me so much more faith in, not that, like, I love Dave Filoni. I think he's an amazing, advocate for Star Wars, and all the things he's done have been great, and he really loves it. But I did have some worries that, like, all right, he does tell the same story over and over, although he presents it slightly differently, and I like it every time.
Yeah.
I do like some variety, and I do think that this was a nice step in showing that it's not always episode of the week, same sort of vibe every time. Showed some range here, and yeah, I give him an A for that.
All right. Well, you're giving him an A. What would you rank Maul Shadow Lord? Putting you on the spot again,
Yeah,
like we usually
I
do
feel
for
pretty
these reviews.
confident that I can give it a 9 because I feel like it took me on a journey where in the beginning I wasn't sure I was into it, and now I
Okay.
appreciate the beginning more. I thought that it ended on a A plus.
Yes.
Uh, the animation was an A plus. And so there's enough things that are very high on it that I'll give it an A, a
Okay.
9. I won't give it the illustrious 10. Um, but because
I don't
if
think it's
you
a
know,
10.
barring a few nitpicks,
Yeah.
but I think it was a 9 because it made me excited for Star Wars
That's true.
again. Not that I wasn't, but I loved my time with the show. What
Nice.
about you?
I'd give it an 8 out of 10. It ends on such a high note. We get such great fight scenes. I think it does end strong. I just think the beginning is a little lackluster, trying to build out the
Yeah,
world and whatnot. But it just, I could tell someone to skip the first 4 episodes and just jump right into the middle, and then it would be fine. Like, all you really got to know is Devin and Daki are on the run, and Maul's doing his thing for the most part. But I just feel like it not as cohesive as it could be with a crime story going into Sith on Sith violence and fighting Inquisitors. I feel like they are very, to me, disconnected. Not as much as if I evaluated it a little more. I only did one watch. I'm not in
sure.
love with the show, but I do feel like some of the best choreography. I would go to YouTube and watch the clips of the fight scenes. Like, I feel like
Yeah,
that would be awesome. um, but yeah, I think that's been
if
my favorite part of it was the combat, because a lot is going on and there's a lot of like really cool little things that they do in the combat, which was really sick. But yeah, not a
and I
bad show.
think the more I see behind the scenes stuff and like the thought process that went into a lot of it, yeah, I'm a big fan of what they're doing. So I'm excited to see more, and we'll see what that is. We'll see what that is, but I'm excited. I'm excited for what we got. Celebration next year. Maybe we get some more.
Yeah, maybe. Well, let us know in the comments what you thought about Maul Shadow Lord. Tell me in the comments why I'm wrong about my opinions. Tell why Eli is more online with you and your thoughts. But we appreciate you guys showing up here on the reigncore channel. Eli, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at the Fan Awakens everywhere. I'm streaming a little bit on Twitch some more at Uncle Sheev, and I'm starting to try and get the cantina going again. So if
Nice.
you've gone to Celebration before, you want to share your story on there, hit me up in the comments here, DMs, whatever, and we can hopefully have you on the show. So
Nice. Yes. Links to all of Eli's stuff is in the description, along with mine. Parade Rainer is where you'll find my cosplay in Star Wars. Yeah, Star Wars cosplay and traveling. And then the reigncore links will lead you here. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It really helps us out. Like and share with someone who enjoys Star Wars content, because me and Eli are going to be doing a lot leading up to Celebration Cantina, and also the Celebration Preppers, like I said in the first half of this podcast. But thank you, Eli, again for being here. It's really fun to talk about Star Wars with you, and we're going to be talking more about Star Wars. We're just a few days away from Mando and Grogu, so we're going to be seeing it in the theater and giving our thoughts and takes on what that is. But until then, I hope you all have a great rest of your galactic day. Punch it, Chewie!